Hi, and welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido. It's a change of seasons. If you notice behind me these storm clouds on the way, it looks really like a deep fall day. As a matter of fact, this weekend in the Wasatch Mountains directly above me, they're calling for up to a foot of snow, with temperatures getting down into the 20s at the beginning of the week. So it is finally time that I winterize this trailer. In order to help you, I'm going to walk you through the process of exactly how to go about winterizing your RV to prevent any damage before your next camping season next spring. So stay tuned. Now, there are a number of tools and products that we'll be using in the course of our winterization. If you need any of those for your winterization, we'll be putting the links down below in the video description so that way you can readily find them yourself on Amazon. Now, the very first step is to make sure that your tanks are empty. We stopped by the dump station after our last camping trip and emptied our gray and our black water tanks, but I still have to drain the freshwater tank. So I'm going to reach underneath to the freshwater tank drain and open that and let that drain out. Here's our freshwater tank drain. Just open the valve and let her go. Now we're going to go through the RV and open each and every faucet to alleviate any pressure on the system. Don't forget your toilet valve and your outside shower if you have one. We'll get the inside first. Make sure you open both hot and cold water lines. Next step, we have to remove the drain plug and drain the water heater and open the pressure relief valve. Now, my Evo travel trailer uses a Suburban water heater, which takes a 1 1/16 inch socket to remove the drain plug. And don't stand right in front of it, because you're going to get gushed. I told you. By the way, open the pressure relief valve first. Now, while you're draining, it's a good time to check your anode rod. Make sure that it's still fairly intact. This one's in good shape. What will happen is these will wear down, and that prevents your hot water heater from actually corroding. If this is looking very thin or in rough shape, it's a good idea to replace this at this time. Now, if your trailer doesn't have a bypass like this for your water heater, this is probably a good time to install one. We're going to close the valve so that way this is perpendicular to the pipes that's leading the cold water into the water heater. We're going to close the similar valve that allows the hot water out of the water heater, and we are going to open the valve on the bypass. If you don't have a bypass valve like this, you're going to use, in my case, 6 more gallons of RV antifreeze, because it's going to end up filling the water heater tank, which you really don't want to do. It's just a complete waste of antifreeze. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go under our RV and locate our low point drains. There should be one for the cold and one for the hot. We're going to just open these to try and remove the last of the water from the lowest point in our plumbing system. Now, you can use your water pump briefly to try and force the last of the water out the drains, both your low point drains and your faucets. But as soon as the water stops coming out, make sure you turn it off so that way you don't burn out your water pump. The next step, we close the low point drains and all the faucets before we move on. Now it's decision time. There are two ways to go about winterizing a trailer. You can either use compressed air to force any remaining water out of the lines, or you can pump the lines full of RV antifreeze. There are pros and cons to each. The pro to using compressed air only is you don't have to deal with decontaminating your lines from the RV antifreeze next spring. The downside is you can't be 100% sure that you got the last of the water out. For that reason, I like doing both. So we're going to do both in this video. You can make up your own mind how you want to go about this. Now for using compressed air, we're going to hook up what's known as a blowout plug. This one's from Camco. They come in either plastic or brass. They come either with a tire style Schrader valve or without. I prefer with because that allows me to have a positive connection. And this just attaches to our city water inlet. Now we're going to take our air compressor and we're going to turn it to no more than about 30 psi, so that way we don't damage our plumbing. And we're going to hook up the air line to our blowout plug. Now we're going to go back inside the RV and open our faucets one by one from the highest first and let the air push the water out of the lines. While we're at it, does anybody need a workbench? Now we're going from highest faucet to lowest drain. So with the compressor, just like what we did before, don't forget your toilet, your outside shower, and we're going to finish with the low point drains. Now I removed the panel underneath my sink to gain access to my water pump. As you can see, I do not have a winterization kit installed yet, but I'm going to install one here, and I'm going to install it permanently. So that way it'll be a lot easier from now on to be able to put antifreeze in the lines. Basically, we're going to install it right here between the water pump and this filter. That's going to allow us to use the water pump to suck RV antifreeze out of the 1-gallon bottles that you get at the RV store and pump it throughout the entire water system. This is the winterization kit that I'm speaking of. It can be obtained from Amazon or from your local RV dealer for about 15 bucks. This brass T-valve is the heart of the Camco winterization kit. We're going to use this female-to-female connector that's included to actually mount this directly in our water line just upstream of the water pump. This cap removes from the brass T-valve, and we're going to use that to connect a hose that's going to pump the antifreeze directly out of the 1-gallon bottle in through our water system. This lever allows you to switch positions between winterization and normal operation. So again, this is our water line coming in from the water tank, the freshwater tank. This is the input on our pump. This is simply a little strainer that's used to catch any kind of debris that may be in the lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this line, or the strainer, from the input on the pump. This really couldn't be any simpler. Now we're going to install the winterization tee that I showed you. And we're going to install it so that the winterization line is actually facing upward. So we're going to go a little further. And we're going to reconnect the strainer to this end. Of course, that line's a little bit short. Give it a little bit of a yank. Line it up and screw it on. Make sure everything is tight so we have no leaks. Now I've already removed the fill cap for the winterization T-valve. That's where our hose is going to go. It's going to go right on here, like so. Tighten it down. And the other end is going to go into our antifreeze bottle. From now on, this is going to stay right like this, so it's already ready to go when it's time to winterize. This is a bottle of the Camco RV antifreeze. This is the -50-degree version. It comes as high as -100 degrees. By all means, only use RV antifreeze as it is non-toxic. Do not, under any circumstance, use traditional automotive antifreeze. Now that it's all put together, you can see the valve is in the position in line with the intake for the antifreeze. That's our winterization position. By moving it that way, in line with the pipe, that's our normal position for water. Now we can actually activate the water pump, and it will draw the antifreeze directly from the bottle right through our system. Now we're going to open each faucet until pure antifreeze runs out of each. As before, don't forget your toilet and your outside shower. And we're going to leave a little bit in the bowl to protect the seals. Finally, finish once again with your low point drains. And be sure to pour about a half cup into each drain to protect the P-trap. So really, that's about it. It was quite simple, wasn't it? And you get that satisfaction of doing the winterization yourself, rather than going through the inconvenience and cost of having the RV dealer do it for you. Now, depending on your RV, there are some additional things you may want to do to get ready for winter. First and foremost is to empty the refrigerator and freezer and defrost it. Make sure that you remove all food from the RV cabinets because you don't want to give critters any incentive to go into your RV. Speaking of which, mice love an RV as a nice warm place to spend their winter, so make sure that all holes and openings are plugged either with steel wool or with aluminum foil. It's a great time to lubricate your dump valves, the sliders on your dump valves, with a little bit of heavyweight motor oil or some WD-40. We hope this information's been useful to you. If it has, please give us a thumbs up down below. We'd love to have you along on all of our grand adventures. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either right here on the screen or on the red subscribe button on the YouTube page. We hope to see you next time. And remember, until then, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you soon.